Let's jump into our news alert.
Anywhere in Phoenix, chances are you can see it. It's at 19th Avenue and Broadway. We've got some pictures of it. Hopefully we can show you those. This is a fire that is sending fireballs into the sky. And we're told from Phoenix Fire that there are basically, if you look here, some tanks that are on fire. Let's take a look at the tower cam. This is amazing. Look closely there. You see the black plume of smoke and you see the fire shooting from these tanks. Now, I've got some information from Phoenix Fire in my hand. It says they are working at the scene of a large fire coming from multiple storage tanks at 19th Avenue and Broadway. Phoenix Fire has currently evacuated all employees from the area. They're focusing on protecting civilians as we try to control the flames, and they are continuing to work the scene. But look at this fire, and as we continue to watch this video, I want to bring in a retired firefighter who's spent a lot of years in Colorado, who's actually at the scene. Her name is Lori Stone. Lori, this they're talking about something in some storage containers that is burning. What do you think this is on fire right now?
You can smell tar.
You think this is tar?
I believe they're tar tanks.
Wow, and we've got a close-up look here at ADOT. I want to just keep our viewers informed on what's happening. 19th Avenue and Broadway, massive fire.
They're all gone.
They're all gone.
And there's just another explosion. So the three that were closest to Circle K now are blowing up, and it looks like one of Phoenix Fire's ladder is right in the middle of it.
Wow. So can you hear the explosions there on the scene?
Yes, you can hear them.
And is it kind of like earth shaking, or is it just audible?
It's audible, but when I was driving by it, when I actually got video of it, when one of the tanks blew, you could feel it there, and that was on 19th Avenue.
This is amazing.
Circle K most likely is going to go up also.
So there's a Circle K there where, on the corner of 19th Avenue and Broadway?
Yes.
You can see from this vantage point right here, ADOT, it looks like fire is getting something on the fire. You see, appears to be maybe a ladder truck of some sort trying to get some fire.
Two ladders going right now. The ladder, what I thought was a ladder truck, is actually the ladder to the top of the tanks that's on fire.
Mm-hmm.
They're telling me, people around here, that there was maybe 10 to 12 tanks.
10 to 12 tanks, and I'm looking here at a map, and you can see a bunch of tanks if this is indeed the property. Right now, planes are having to adjust their flight paths because of this massive plume of black smoke. So there are some problems with planes trying to land and depart Sky Harbor Airport. This is, it almost looks like a massive funnel cloud. It's just black smoke going high into the sky. It looks like from this vantage point, some of the fireballs that we were seeing shooting into the air have stopped. Are you sensing that there's any control or at least any improvement?
No, there's no control whatsoever. In fact, we just had another explosion. I'm looking at 3 tanks right now that have not gone up, but they're hot enough at the top of them. They're going to end up going.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see 2 ladder trucks pumping water on it so far, but we've got...
this is amazing.
It looks like 7 trucks here already.
We've got Sky Fox that just pulled onto the other side, and you still see the flames shooting from these, what appears to be, you're thinking it's tar that might be on fire that was in storage
they're tar tanks. That's what it smells like.
Now, how close are you to this fire right now, Lori?
I'm basically maybe a quarter of a mile away, if even that.
So 2.5 blocks away, and you said there's a Circle K right there on the corner that has been evacuated?
Yeah, they've evacuated. In fact, fire is dumping water on Circle K.
Wow, they're trying to protect Circle K and keeping it from going up. This is amazing because
the back of it is right bordered to the property where the tanks are. In fact, where we're standing, we can feel the radiant heat.
You can feel
the fire.
And where are you standing right now?
Pardon?
Are you at the Circle K, did you say?
No, I'm not at the Circle K.
Okay, I think I can see it. So the Circle K is right there on the corner of Broadway and 19th Avenue. I'm looking here at our map, and the fire is going on just kitty corner from it. Is that right?
It's right behind it. Right smack dab behind it.
Right behind it, okay.
There goes another tank.
There goes another tank. This is a really massive fire burning right now. So we're continuing to watch it, and right now I'm seeing at least 2 streets.
I'm on the phone with Fox 10 right now.
Lori, I'm seeing a lot of people running around in this video. You can actually see people that look like they're right there on the property, and you see them literally running on the property. I don't know if they're running to get away Or
they're
if they're
evacuating the properties that are, in fact, I'm being moved because they're evacuating, I think it's some, I don't know what the business is behind this, but they're evacuating it.
Wow, this is,
So
I'm seeing
being
here, this
forced
is the
to
most,
move.
you can't see this, Lori, but this is the most amazing video. If we can.
I can try to get closer to it again, but I don't know. There's no way that they're going to, NLB. Yeah, they've already got everything shut down. In fact, I don't know if I want to get
Maybe
closer.
we can bring Lori's mic down while she works out some of her logistics there. But we've got the firefighters on the scene. They're spraying some fire, trying to prevent these other tanks from basically catching fire, but it may be a lost cause at this point. And there is a lot of fire still actively burning. It's a second alarm fire. They have basically all hands on deck working this, several trucks coming in. And you could see there at one point, look at all these tanks. These are massive tanks as Sky Fox gets a little bit closer. This fire is burning very strong. And as you can see there, there's probably good 6-7 tanks that are not on fire yet, but definitely are a risk. And that's why they're getting the fire there. Basically, they're getting the water rather around the area, trying to prevent any of these buildings from catching fire, trying to keep everything as cool as possible when you have a fire burning. But look over to the left side of your screen there. You can see other materials have caught fire, and that could be from an explosion, something flying that was on fire and caught some of the other materials on fire, or it could be just from the heat as well. So we're in an industrial area. We have a lot of other businesses down there, and it looks like they have some sort of materials for construction perhaps down there that is just adjacent to this property. There's the Circle K that Lori was talking to us from, and you can see there they're putting some water on the back corner just near that Circle K property. But again, do we have a name on this business? I'm talking to my producer here. Perhaps he can get in my ear and tell me a name on this business. We're working to get a confirmation on the name of this business, but right now, massive fire burning. This is a corner, basically 18th, 19th Avenue and Broadway. And wow, that is a massive fire. So maybe we can take a little corner of this and show you where this fire is burning. This gives you a really good idea of it right here on the map. I don't know if we can pull this in just the corner. Right here is the Circle K. This is the Circle K. I'm going to zoom way in. This is the Circle K, and this is where the fire is burning. So 19th Avenue here, Broadway here. This is the area on fire. These were those tanks that we were seeing that were on fire right here. And this is where they're spraying the water. This is the Circle K, basically right here. So this is exactly where the fire is burning right now. Let's go back to pictures here and take a look at the fire burning. There's no control on this fire right now. Multiple explosions and barrels that have been shooting projectiles out of them. This is according to Phoenix Fire. Multiple explosions. You can see why when you see that fire. It says, do not come any closer than 17th Avenue. This is actually an area that the media is trying to get into, obviously, to cover the story. And they're saying, please don't come any closer to it because it's frankly too dangerous. They don't want to have anybody injured. So we've got an active scene here at the river bottom. They're basically telling the media crews to stay their distance because it's such a dangerous fire. So situation right now is Phoenix Fire, second alarm fire. Take a close-up look here. Let's just examine this. Look at all those barrels. They are, who knows what's in them. This is a hazmat situation. It looks like there's a lot of construction equipment here. We don't know what caused this fire, but there are numerous tanks full of who knows what, all kinds of perhaps building flammables, but building equipment and things like that. So we're taking a look here, and you can see the dangerous job these firefighters have. They're in a bucket there, spraying some water on the scene, but boy, this almost looks like a futile effort. We've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 large tanks that do not appear to have exploded yet, but are in danger of that. Actually, a couple of them appear to be on fire already and probably did explode. So this is a pretty scary scene. We've got Christy Siefkin in right now. And Christy, any weather situation, any weather problems that could make this situation worse? Are we talking about weather, that kind of, or wind, that kind of thing?
Yeah, and typically when we're looking at winds, it's obviously for wildfires. In this situation, though, such a large fire, wind could be a factor as well. Now, we do have a few things working in our favor. It's still pretty moist out there. If you stepped outside today, you know there's a lot of cloud cover out there. And the good news is, in terms of hopefully getting these flames under control, we are seeing a decent amount of moisture. The dew points right now for the valley sitting in the 60s. So that is very good news. It's when we start to see those numbers dropping into the 40s, the 30s, the 20s that we're more concerned, because that's when it's really dry out there. Temperature wise, of course, when it is warm outside, that's always not great for having to fight fires. It is warm out there today, not exceedingly so. But in terms of the winds, they're very mild at this point. For the past hour or so, we've had single digit winds coming out of Sky Harbor. Right now, those winds about 6 miles an hour coming out of the southeast. We haven't seen much of a directional change in those winds for a while, so that's good news, because we're not going to start to see the flames moving a different direction. So given the conditions we have, probably the best that we could be working with. The only exception, of course, would be if it were a little bit cooler. But I'll certainly keep you posted if we see any changes in the wind direction, if we see the winds picking up at all. And we do have about a 20% chance of showers in our forecast for today. But right now it looks like that rain probably isn't going to come until later, and even then isolated. Certainly any rain would be helpful with this fire, but doesn't look like we're going to see any in the near future, Carrie.
This is just amazing. You just saw there as a Sky Fox kind of panned across that black plume of smoke, and it stretches very high up into the sky. And because of that, Sky Harbor, they've had to make adjustments with planes that are taking off and landing. But this is a fire that is putting so much black, dark smoke into the sky. And look at all the water that firefighters are pouring onto the scene. Well, they're obviously trying to keep this from spreading, because there's so much material there that could burn, and a lot of it is hazardous material. We're looking at basically what appears to be some sort of a construction site, and there's a lot of large storage tanks that have who knows what, but obviously flammables in it. So they're trying to prevent this from spreading any further, basically. But look at that plume of smoke, and this is going up through the sky, right across. And then, you know, Christy was talking about the winds are not real strong, but you can see in the upper sky there that they're kind of starting to spread over the valley. Look at this, though, live picture here. The pressure coming out of that tank that is on fire. And this is why fire officials and authorities are so concerned about evacuating the place, which they have done. And take a look at the storyteller picture here. I want to keep this, if we can keep this picture on, because I want to keep the fire up there, because you can see what we're dealing with here. But look at this map. This is the area that's being evacuated. Is this right, Rod, my producer? This is the area that they really want to keep people out of. River bottom all the way to Atlanta. And I'm going to kind of 23rd to 17th Avenue. So this is a pretty good area here that they want to keep people out of. And I'm going to try to zoom in here a little bit. Oops, help me out here. Let's zoom in and kind of show you where this fire is burning. As we zoom in down here, very close to 19th Avenue. This is 19th Avenue. This is Broadway. This is the Circle K right here. And this is where that fire is burning. This is where all of those tanks are that they're getting the water on. And you've got firefighters pouring water from every direction they can get to. So this is the area of concern right now. And obviously, when you look at this area on the map, you see there's all of this material over here. There's a building right here. There's another business right here. There's so many businesses around here that could also go up in flames if they can't keep this fire from spreading. Let's go to Rick Davis. He is our photojournalist who's on the scene. Rick, you've seen a lot of fires, but this has to be up there, maybe one of the biggest you've seen and one of the biggest you've covered.
Yeah, this is a really big fire. We're looking at least 80 foot large flames bursting out of this building, and there are people just all over the place taking, pictures and trying to figure out how close they can get and what they can see.
I got to tell you, the picture we have on our screen right now, Rick, it looks like the most insane tornado Hollywood could ever come up with. This is the plume of smoke spreading high into the sky, and then you just see a layer of dark smoke. And you understand why Sky Harbor's had to kind of reroute some of their planes as they try to land and take off. And people are taking pictures of this. I just had my husband send me a picture, and he just sent me a text message saying, "Are you seeing this fire?" So this is one that you can see from all over the valley. Pardon me, one more
I know
time.
you can see some of the flame shooting up, but there are actually explosions going off that you can hear a little bit from maybe 3 or 4 blocks away to the south off of 19th Avenue in Corona.
Wow, I'm sitting here watching this close-up picture, and Rick, the fire is burning so intense. It almost looks like they haven't been able to contain it at all. But I guess
now
we're going to go
what
to
I heard earlier,
what time
DPS
is the
is
press
working on the
conference?
corner of 19th Avenue in Broadway in the construction area. I think they made the first call in to start evacuating businesses around here. And first they just shut down at 19th Avenue and then over 7th Avenue in Broadway. But now they extended it over to 27th Avenue and even over to Central.
And you said you can hear the explosions. I mean, is it almost where it's a little bit earth shaking, or is it just a very loud noise?
Just small pops at this point. Earlier, you could definitely hear some loud explosions. I think those tanks have probably already disintegrated, so I don't know if they still have some bigger tanks in there, but you know, occasionally you'll hear a nice little pop or a poof, and you can hear the fizz coming out of the tanks as it pushes out that air.
We've got a 2:30 news conference. Phoenix Fire are going to give us a little more briefing on this fire, but boy, what we can tell you right now, it is burning strong, it is out of control, and it is spewing all kinds of dark black smoke into our skies above Phoenix, so much so that planes are having to kind of reroute to get around the smoke as to prevent any problems with our aircraft coming in and taking off from Sky Harbor Airport. So there's no control on this fire. I want to show you some of the pictures. As Rick said, people are snapping up pictures. They can't believe their eyes with this fire. Maybe we can keep that live picture to the side of me, and we'll take a look at some of these pictures. This is from Steve Kraft. He's on the scene down there, and look at the people driving away from it. Just getting the heck out of there. No interest in being close to that fire. Here's a picture from Hans Peterson of the fire burning. This is a big black plume of smoke. But I think nothing beats that live picture that we have, and you can see this fire from far away. No matter where you are in the valley right now, look out your window and you will see the smoke in the sky, or you will see the actual fire burning. I think we should get back to that live picture of the fire from Sky Fox, and you can see right now there's no containment on this fire. We've got a phoner with, let me see, we've got a phone interview coming up right now with Phoenix Fire.
Yes.
With Phoenix Fire, we've got, not yet, actually, we'll have that in just a moment. Okay, we're gonna take a look more at some of these pictures here, and look at this plume of smoke. This just shows you, this picture here, it illustrates the danger of what firefighters are up against. Up there in this basket, can you imagine what the viewpoint is like from that basket? You're looking down on this inferno, and you're just trying to keep these other buildings from catching fire. Boy, our hats off to these firefighters out there. This is from Christina Batson, and she says the sounds of the explosions at 19th Avenue and Broadway, fire told us to move back after an object flew through the air. That's a scary thought. Here's a picture, and this looks like it's from our tower cam, but just look at that plume of smoke, and then you always got to wonder, what are we breathing in when you see that? And the plume of smoke starting to kind of move its way through the sky. This picture, though, tells you so much about just how massive the fire is. Look from the ground. That plume of smoke is so wide, it looks like it's almost a city block. Take a look at these live pictures. Shelly Jamison from Phoenix Fire on the line right now. Shelly, I can't remember the last time I saw a fire this big. This defies logic.
I would agree, Carrie. This is a huge fire, no question. A lot of flames, a lot of smoke.
Well, hats off to you guys. I know this is a tough one to fight. You guys have your hands full. What are we looking at on fire here?
It appears to be tanks, and I cannot tell you what are in the tanks. At this point, they're blackened. Most hazardous materials. There is a placard on the side. My assumption is the crews, which are very alert about things like this, would have paid attention to that in driving up and hopefully seen what is contained in this area. I don't know what type of business this is. Okay, obviously very flammable.
Shelley, I just got word from one of our producers here that it's used motor oil and acetone, which, you know, that acetone is what you take your nail polish off with, and that stuff I can imagine is incredibly flammable. That might explain some of the explosions you're seeing here.
Oh, it's incredible. Are you? Can you see right now what we're looking at? Obviously, whatever is catching on, something has, opened up and caused more flame and fire. From the Phoenix Fire Department standpoint, you can see what we're doing to fight that is we're using ladder streams to put water on the fire. We're not inside the footprint. There aren't hose lines in there. What you're seeing are ladder streams because that's safer. So there's a lot of heat, a lot of smoke, and it's very dangerous.
It looks to me like you're trying to just get the fire, keep it contained, basically, and prevent it from spreading. On this picture here, we've got a building to the right-hand side of our screen. That building, would that be on fire on the inside from what we could tell from this picture?
So, Carrie, that is absolutely accurate. What we are doing right now is keeping the fire from spreading. Now, the building to the right does not appear to be on fire right now. However, with that type of flame impingement, I'm sure it won't be long. And in a case like this, whatever's in there at this point is probably lost. It's filled with smoke, and the assumption is that anybody who may have been in there would have gotten out.
100 evacuations from what we're hearing, 100 evacuations. When you get called on a scene like this, is it a 911 call and you rush to the scene and then you see it, or did you kind of know what you guys were stepping into by the time you got there?
The life of a Phoenix firefighter is every time the lights come on in a fire station, you really don't know what you're going to get. We have an idea from the computer inside the truck. It gives us something that, an idea of what the call may be. But, Carrie, half the time it's something quite different. In a case like this, I guarantee you the crews left the station, saw the plume of smoke, and probably balanced it, which means if it kicked out as a working fire, they immediately balanced it to a first alarm, which brings more units, more help, more water.
So is it a second alarm now, or has it moved up to third, fourth alarm fire?
My understanding right now is it's still a 2-alarm, but I have not had a chance to look at the computer yet. I'm looking at a number of units. We're probably approaching, let me see here, probably about 60 to 70 units.
So we've got this massive fire, 19th Avenue and Broadway, if you're just joining us, and all you have to do is look out your window. Look out pretty much any window in town and you can see the smoke from this. I've got Shelley Jamison with the Phoenix Fire Department. They are the lead on this fire, and they are working diligently to try to contain it. At this point, that is a difficult job because you've got basically, I don't know how many tanks, what would you estimate how many tanks that are either exploded or at risk of exploding?
I'm looking at what appears to be at least 6 large burning tanks, and these look like multiple-story tanks. Those do not appear to be burning, but the stuff inside it does. So frequently at storage units like this, and I think you mentioned it was refined motor oil, and perhaps, I don't know if you said acetone, something else. All
Use
of
motor
them,
oil and acetone.
Very volatile substances, very highly flammable, a difficult fire to fight for sure.
Shelley, one more quick question for you. You've got the firefighters up there in the baskets, or they're putting fire or water on this fire. And we've heard from people who are saying there are flying objects. When these tanks explode, there are projectiles flying at them. How do you prevent your firefighters from getting hit by that stuff?
So, Carrie, that is very accurate. And again, this is an extremely dangerous scene. And once again, that's the reason why they are not inside there with hose lines. First of all, the heat would drive them back. But secondly, yes, those small tanks become projectiles. So awareness, training, safety, the right equipment, the right gear, all of that stuff plays a part in keeping them safe.
All right, Shelley, I don't know if I can keep you on the line much longer. I want to go to our reporter who's at the scene down there. And Steve Kraft is on the scene, or as close to the scene as he can possibly get. Steve, this fire, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I mean, this fire has not slowed down. If anything, it's gotten more intense. What have you been seeing down there in South Phoenix?
Well, it was funny. We were driving back from Tempe from doing a story there, and we saw this huge sort of plume of black smoke. It looked almost like it was obviously a huge fire. We followed it, and it turns out that it's at 19th Avenue and Broadway. We're about a block away, maybe a block and a half. And you're mentioning that it seems like it's worse. I think they're making a little progress. You can see the firefighters have been dumping water on it, and then have been doing it for quite a while. But there was this giant, boiling, billowing cloud of thick black smoke, and it's still coming up from the site. And every once in a while, we would hear a big explosion, and you see flocks of birds. I just heard another explosion. You can see that fireball. Look at that. Right there. something's exploding when you hear that. And we heard just a series of these explosions, birds flying, people kind of very quickly getting out of this area. You could feel the heat. We are looking at it from above now on Skyfox. This huge cloud of black smoke trailing up towards the northeast from where I'm standing right now, and darkening the sky to the point where if you look up at the sky, I mean, it looks like it's nighttime if you're standing right under it. That is how thick and black this smoke is. There are people on the streets just kind of watching this crazy scene as if, well, kind of in shock. Everyone here in this neighborhood is shocked to see this. It's an industrial area, but like many parts of Phoenix, it isn't hard to get to a home from where we are right now near 19th Avenue and Broadway.
Well, and Steve,
back to Skyfox, and you can see where they're fighting it.
And Steve, in these industrial areas, the daytime is when they're actually packed with people. And that's why we're told 100 people have had to be evacuated from this area. I want to give you some information real quick. Stay with us, Steve. This is Solvent Recycling. It's at 1850 West Broadway, so it is between 18th and 19th Avenue, right there on the corner. But you don't have to be on the corner to see this fire. As Steve said, you can see it from miles away, this fire burning and the explosions as well. Could you feel those explosions, or were they just very audible?
I can't say I felt a shockwave or anything like that, but they were really loud, and we were, at the time I heard the first one, at least a half a mile away. And I mean, you could just hear this tremendous, you know, as obviously something really big had blown up, followed by this boiling fireball. I haven't seen, there's another one. I don't know if you could hear that. Another one just now, followed by a big fireball just boiling up into the sky. So, you know, this is a very crazy situation. It's almost like a movie is unfolding in front of our eyes, but it's not a movie. It's certainly real life. Large number of fire crews here. Here on the scene, they told us it had gone second alarm. As we look now up top from Skyfox, you can see just how high this black cloud is going into the sky, and it's causing us a little concern right now because earlier, the winds are shifting. Earlier, it was spreading off towards the north and towards the east. Now it is going directly overhead where we are. We just hope it keeps on going. Yes.
I wonder if we can get that shot we just had up, and the concern in that last picture we showed, and I don't know if you can see this, Steve. Well, Skyfox was zoomed into additional barrels, and those are large barrels to the side that have now caught fire. So obviously they're not as big as these storage tanks, which we've been hearing. Steve says you can hear the explosions, boom, boom, down there and from blocks and blocks away. But now we have these barrels to the side of those tanks, and they have started to catch fire. And you know, we're just dealing with a lot of hazardous materials down here, so it's a danger really for anybody who's nearby. We got the firefighters above it trying to get water on it, trying to prevent this from spreading. But one of the witnesses said there was flying projectiles when the explosions happened, and they couldn't believe their eyes. They actually took off and got out of there, and that's why firefighters have said we need to expand this evacuation area as we continue to work and try to put this fire out. Do we have a phone interview? Donette Williams, and tell me, she does business with this company. It's Solvent Recycling. Donette Williams is joining us on the phone. Donette?
Yes.
What can you tell us about this company? Well, it looks like construction supplies, perhaps, or what
actually, they buy our used oil from auto repair, and also we buy solvent to clean our auto parts with from them. So there's a lot of oil and solvent on that property.
Well, we were told, or we did some digging and found out it's acetone, which will take basically, that will dissolve anything. If you've ever had a thick nail polish on, you know how acetone works, but it also is used for many industrial purposes as well. And then the used motor oil, which would explain why that plume of smoke is so dark. If you've ever seen somebody's car driving in front of you on the freeway and they're burning oil, they're putting out dark smoke. So that's what the dark smoke is. And do they take in a lot of used motor oil from you guys every year?
About every 3 months, about 250 gallons.
250 gallons from just your business every 3 months.
Right.
So they're storing it in these massive towers. You can see them there, and that's what has caught fire. We don't know the cause of this fire. Dawnette, you know, we're looking at, have you ever been to this location?
Yes, I have, to pick up solvent.
To pick up solvent, okay. And, you know, it looks pretty big from Sky Fox. Is it a massive facility there?
Yes, it's pretty large.
How would you describe it when you get there on site? Do you actually go back when you're...
You go back in the back and you pick up your whatever you're picking up, like your solvents. I buy them in 5-gallon buckets. But I know they have quite a few trucks that pick up used oil throughout the city. And not only from auto repair, I'm sure they pick up from other people as well. So there's a lot of flammable things there on that property.
Wow, I can't think of a worse business, really, truly, to go up in flames. When you're looking at just the stuff that's going to go into the air. Amazing. So we had Dawnette Williams on the line there. 2:30 in about 5 minutes or so, 4 or 5 minutes, the Phoenix Fire are going to be holding a news conference, and we will be covering that. But we have a massive fire burning. This is at Solvent Recycling, 1850 West Broadway, basically down there by the river bottom, South Phoenix. And you don't have to be anywhere near this fire to see what is going on. If you go outside, if you look out your window, if you're driving through town and you just crank your head around, you're going to see a massive plume of black smoke, probably unlike anything you've ever seen before from the way this thing's being described. And we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I can count ladder trucks that are shooting water down onto these tanks, trying to prevent even more explosions from happening. But again, what we're dealing with here is used motor oil, and that explains the incredibly black plume. We just got an explosion right there. Wow. So you can see why from that explosion you've got flying projectiles, and think about how dangerous that is. This is amazing. This fire, we just had another explosion. There have been numerous explosions. These tanks that are holding either used motor oil or acetone, which is a very, very strong solvent. And it's on fire right now. And again, this is Solvent Recycling, and Jessica Flores is on scene. And when I say on scene, Jess, I know you're kind of being held back because of the danger of this fire. Have they been moving you guys further and further back? Do we have Jess? We'll work on getting that signal. In the meantime, we're going to just take a look at this fire burning. Let's take a look at these massive towers. Okay, so we've got these tanks, and you can see how the fire department is just spraying with fire hoses these tanks, these really large ones, trying to keep them a little bit cooler. And they're spraying them so hard the paint's coming off. So imagine how much you've got the heat, you've got this water just hitting these tanks, because when those ones go, if and when they go, that will be an explosion that you might actually feel if you're anywhere nearby. These are massive tanks. It looks like they're almost a story, maybe a little higher than a story tall. And from what we understand, those are possibly containing acetone, possibly containing used motor oil, but nonetheless, this is a pretty much a business that deals with a lot of hazardous materials. And they do a lot of business with other businesses here in town, and they're trying to prevent those, the larger tanks, from going up, catching fire, and burning. We already saw some of those smaller barrels which could contain used motor oil that have caught fire. They were trying to prevent those from catching fire, and it looks like they've managed to get some of that area out. They were successful in getting some of those barrels, at least the fire that was burning on some of those barrels, out. But again, 18th Avenue, Broadway, this whole area, basically almost a half a square mile, maybe a little bit more, evacuated. And when you look at this map here, I don't know if we can take a little small corner to put this map up to show you where this is going on. But this is basically 19th Avenue here. This is Broadway. And right here is the area that's on fire. You're seeing right there, that's the area that you're seeing right there on the right side of your screen that's on fire. And you can see all of these little, not little, they're actually massive barrels. I want to kind of zoom in here and show you these barrels as we zoom in. So this is what we're dealing with here. These are those massive barrels that you're seeing that they're putting the water on right now, trying to keep from catching fire. And they're having some success, it looks like, in preventing those from exploding, but they have not had much success in preventing further explosions in here. So let's go full screen to the fire, take a look at exactly what's burning and how Phoenix Fire is managing to basically try to contain this fire. Obviously, it's going to be a difficult one to put out. They've got, all hands on deck trying to work this situation down here at Solvent Recycling. Is that what? Yes, Solvent Recycling is the company. But the point is getting this fire out when you're dealing with materials like acetone and motor oil. You know, water's not going to put an oil fire out, but can they keep it from spreading? Can they keep these other massive containers from exploding? That appears to be the strategy that they're working at this time. So if you're anywhere in the valley right now, I imagine you can see this from Tempe. You can probably see this from Scottsdale because the plume of smoke, and I'm not sure if we're going to be able to kind of pan up and show you that again, but it looks like, I mean, even Hollywood, if they had their best graphics people, couldn't create something like this because this is the real deal and it's burning strong. And you can see this fire even from our tower cam, which is quite a ways away, a good several miles away. You can actually see the fireballs coming up when these explosions happen. So it's pretty intense all around town. We've been told that Sky Harbor Airport, while they haven't had delays, have had to kind of reroute some of the planes coming in and taking off. So if you're expecting to leave here in the near future at Sky Harbor, planes coming in, they're having to kind of reroute because of this incredibly thick black smoke that's causing problems with visibility and other issues for some of the planes that are coming in and taking off. But just take a look at that. Unbelievable. What a hot fire that is burning right now. And you can understand why when you think about what this company does. They take in used motor oil, incredibly flammable. They take in and they actually send out acetone and other solvents to businesses that deal with those kind of products. So we're dealing with some stuff that's pretty intense here, and it is on fire right now. We've even seen some of the explosions take part. We just saw one about 3 minutes ago. Right now, Phoenix Fire is in charge of trying to work this fire. The initial reports came in of a 60,000-gallon tanks that were not accurate. We didn't put that information out, but there were reports of these massive tanks, and they're saying that is actually not the case. The facility actually specializes in collecting used hazardous materials like motor oil, and we actually heard from a customer in the last 15 minutes. They actually send hundreds of gallons a month of used motor oil to this company, and they dispose of it. They recycle it and dispose of it. They have numerous 55-gallon drums as well as a couple of these 4,000-gallon storage tanks. And you can see those 4,000-gallon tanks. They're the ones that are right there pretty much in the center of your screen. They're large black tanks, and right now we've got so much water going onto those tanks. We're just trying to keep them as cool as possible because when those go, if they do go, as I said, that's going to be an explosion that you probably will feel if you're anywhere near then. Media has been pushed back actually because we were pretty close to this fire initially. You could just drive right up. Then they started evacuating people. They had 100 evacuations, and they decided after hearing reports of flying debris from this explosion, they decided we got to push people back. We got to keep people further back from the scene, and that's why they have made this evacuation so massive. Basically, they're telling people don't come any closer than 17th Avenue on the east and 23rd Avenue on the west, Atlanta Avenue on the south, and the river bottom on the north. So think about that. That's a pretty big evacuation area for a fire, but when you see the size of this fire, you certainly understand what's going on here. And when you consider what this business does, again, the business called Solvent Recycling, when you consider what they do, you understand exactly why they're saying you got to stay back at least a half a mile, maybe even more. Definitely don't want to be breathing in this stuff. And of course, the firefighters, you know, thankfully they've got masks on and they're getting oxygen and all of that, so they're not in danger, or they're not in danger of breathing in that dirty air, but they are. You know, there is always a risk when you're fighting a fire like this, when you see them up in those baskets up there. And this is a picture from our tower cam. When you see the firefighters up in those baskets up there and you think about flying projectiles and you cross your fingers and hope that they all stay safe because this fire is not showing signs of being put out anytime soon. Let's take a look here. Those are those gallons. You can see the water. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 ladder or hoses that are shooting water down. Think of all the water going down there, trying to keep some of these flames from spreading. Air is very dangerous to breathe right now in this area. And again, if we can really quick pull this area up here on the map, I don't know if we can show this again. I just want to kind of give you an idea. Let's keep this picture up on the side, and you see those massive tanks. These are the massive tanks we're talking about. Those are the massive tanks that you're watching there on the right-hand side of your screen. They're putting the water on. This is where the fire is burning. This is the Circle K right here. And this whole area has been evacuated. Steve Kraft is as close as he can get to the fire. And Steve, the concern is the air. We're told the air is incredibly dangerous to breathe in. Are you breathing in that air? Hopefully not.
Yes, I'm breathing in that air.
All right.
And,
Steve, maybe you shouldn't
we've
be.
been told to evacuate the area. So right now I'm talking to you as I'm walking down the street with photographers carrying our gear. We are now at about 15th Avenue and Broadway, where hopefully it's a little bit better. But I definitely could feel it. I mean, it's the kind of thing you feel the back of your throat, and you know it's not good. So
Well,
at the moment, we're
and you're in the thick
just going
of
to
it.
an area where we think it's a little bit, no area is good here. It's all bad. It's just a question of which is, you know, a little bit better.
Well, Steve is actually walking away from the fire, which is a good thing. We definitely don't want you in danger, Steve, and our crews out there. But when you think about what's burning, you understand that black plume of smoke. You understand why this air is so bad. If you've ever been behind somebody on the freeway and their car's burning oil and black smoke is coming out, this is used motor oil. This is a company called Solvent Recycling, or SRC Oil and Fuel. So I can't think of a worse company to go up in flames, Steve, than a company that deals with oil and fuel and solvents.
Right.
That's a dangerous combination.
Yeah, that's true. We're told that they have that they kind of have a solvent they use to clean automobile parts, and I think that has to do with recycling and repurposing automobile parts. Mm-hmm. And they have, you know, these incredibly powerful chemicals to, you know, clean all the gunk off of who knows what from a car, right?
Wow.
So,
all right, Steve, I'm going to put you on hold. We're going to take a news conference live right now. Phoenix Fire putting on a news conference dealing with this fire, massive fire burning 18th Avenue and Broadway. They're about ready to take the podium, but we've got one of the fire, apparently this looks like actually fire police.
This is fire.
This is
looks
fire.
like Phoenix Fire, right?
Okay, Phoenix Fire.
They're getting wired up right now to do a news conference. We've got a crew here.
Well,
where to go?
Here we go. Let's take their sound and listen in. No sound just yet? All right, you let me know when we've got sound. In the meantime, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this company. They work with solvents, solvent recycling. They specialize in collecting and recycling used oil, used diesel, used jet fuel. That's a scary thought. Used gasoline, used oil filters, used antifreeze, oily water, used grease, used oil absorbents, used oily rags, and other used oil products. So they're dealing with super flammable stuff. And basically, their business is on fire right now. We've got firefighters on all corners of this fire trying to contain it, trying to keep any more tanks from blowing up. We've seen a number of them. I will say right now, what I'm seeing, it looks like they're making some progress. Now, this could mean that most of the stuff is burning up right now. Once things are burned, they're kind of done burning. But we have numerous tanks, and these are massive, massive tanks. We're talking about 4,000-gallon storage tanks, these big, large black ones in the forefront here. And they've been keeping water on them, trying to prevent them from catching fire and then exploding because of what's in there. So they're dealing with a lot of dangerous products. It's a third alarm fire right now. Let's listen in and see if we've got the audio. Have we got the audio yet, guys? We're working on getting it. You let me know in my ear. In the meantime, let's go.
Now our focus turns a little bit more towards the move them back, been able to get them a little bit closer. We feel like the scene is fairly safe now in terms of be able to get our people a little bit closer to the fire.
What were the barrels that exploded? Were they used motor oil?
From the information we have is that they were used motor oil as well. Like I said, 55-gallon drums of used motor oil. So what happens is they come to a storage facility and then they get taken to be disposed of properly according to environmental standards.
So you're talking about 100 people evacuated from including the Circle K?
So when we talk, it's a large industrial area. There's a lot of businesses in the area. So we guesstimated about 100 people or the total number of people that we had to ask to leave the area. So obviously that number could be a little bit higher, a little bit lower, depending on how many people were actually in those businesses. We don't really take account. We just say, hey, clear this building, and we can have that go continuously until we have everyone out of the area.
What are the health concerns right now to the public?
We have a hazardous material. We actually have a number of hazardous material trucks that are on scene. So what those crews are doing right now is they're going through all the manuals we have, using our research material to really identify what the biggest health concerns are right now. As you can see that from the smoke, most of the smoke is lying pretty high in the air, which although we don't like to see the big black column in the air, it's better than it lying close to the ground. So, you know, if you're in the area, you're safe to shelter in place. Right now, we haven't given out any recommendations of anybody not being able to go anywhere or anything like that. So they're going to continue to do their research until we know exactly what materials are involved. We know our initial evacuation distances are all good.
Looks like there's a lot less smoke now. Any idea how long before you're going to get this all under control?
I don't, you know, we'll be able to get the active fire under control a lot sooner than we'll be able to actually continue to put out spot fires. It does look like they've made a lot of headway since we first got here, but in terms of a perfect timeline, I couldn't give that to you.
Do you know how long they might stay evacuated?
I couldn't answer that either, just because I don't have the information at this time.
So this was motor oil and other solvents that were running?
And as far as we know, it's used motor oil. We did hear initially that there was some acetone as well involved, which is a solvent, but I haven't been able to confirm the acetone, just the used motor oil.
Have any civilians been injured?
We don't have any information on any civilian injuries, and really the civilians in the area did a great job. That, you know, we've run into evacuation times in the past where somebody doesn't want to leave. The civilians were really good about getting out of the area. We found safe evacuation distances for all 4 directions, and so we didn't have any issues there.
How many people do you have fighting this fire?
Right now we'd have about 50 on scene. It went to a second alarm. If we have to call in a third alarm, we'd get to about 70.
Is there any sense of what went wrong? What caused these explosions?
We have no information at this time in terms of what initially started the fire.
Have there been any fires here before?
Not that I know of, not that I'm aware of. And as we continue to investigate, we'll know if that's been an issue in the past. But as far as I know, we have not had any incidents here in the past.
What's your message to the looky-loos that want to get close and get a good look?
You know, really, I mean, just be advised of the traffic that's in the area. This probably isn't the best area to come out. The best footage is going to come from you guys, and I know everyone wants to get something on their own personal cell phone or on their Facebook page, but the best information is going to come from you all in terms of the videos and pictures. We've been sending out some stuff as well that you guys have probably received.
Smoke was just gone a moment ago, now it's back again. What does that tell you? What's going on?
I mean, you'll probably see that the smoke kind of fluctuate over the next half hour, an hour, till we really feel like they have it under control. So all that is a sign of we've had active fire. It's spread a little bit, started to involve maybe a new tank or a new area, gives off some more black smoke. Petroleum products put off really dark, dense black smoke. So that's really what we're dealing with right now. When you see it get lighter, it's a good sign that we're starting to get it under control a little bit. But I would expect to see that fluctuation.
They just store stuff like that here?
As far as we know.
How much do they have?
I don't have an exact number. I know it's a number of 55-gallon drums and then the one 40,000 storage tank.
What's the name of the business?
I don't have the exact name. We'll have to send that through a media blast here in a little bit as well.
For the 40,000-gallon tank?
It's 4,000 gallons.
4,000.
Yeah.
And that one is...
I don't know if it's exploded. They said that's the largest thing they had that was in there. The smoke is so dark and black that we can't see into the facility, even on the ladder pipes. We initially we plan on putting people on the ladder pipes. We could not do that because of the hazard to the guys that were there, especially after the explosion that landed a barrel next to one of our units. So those are unmanned ladder pipes right now. So we have water going to them. We've moved our personnel back. As we start to get this thing more and more under control, we'll start moving people in with hand lines as well. So I'm going to head back. I will continue to send you guys updates through.
Captain Larry Suburbi, Phoenix Fire, and he's just kind of talking about what's going on there. And you can see as they were talking, I've got some mixed minus problems, guys. As they were talking, there was another explosion there, and you're looking at the fire that they're working to put out. Still having some problems with my IFB, if we can fix that. So basically, we've got this fire here. I want to show you where it is, 19th Avenue, Broadway right here, and this is where the fire is. If you know this area, there's a Circle K right here. And right now, they're still in evacuation order. 100 people sent out, basically forced out of this neighborhood as this massive fire at a solvent recycling, SRC oil and fuel burning. And they're still working the fire actively, so we've got a lot of water going on it. But again, when we're dealing with used motor oil, that explains that incredibly huge dark plume of smoke and just what these firefighters